In this episode of Storm Stories, we travel back in time to May 11th, 1970, Lubbock, Texas, to witness one of the most powerful and destructive tornadoes in Texas and U.S. history. The skies during the afternoon were clear and dry on May 11th, 1970, giving a false sense of calm that would be shattered later that night by a powerful F5 multi-vortex tornado. One of the ingredients that led to this disaster was a dry line that moved in from the west. When this dry air collided with the rich moisture plume from the Gulf of Mexico after 6:30 p.m., it lit the fuse on an atmospheric explosion that went off after 9 p.m. later that night. The tornado touched down southwest of Lubbock around 9:35 p.m., traveling for 8.5 miles, causing a path of destruction across 25% of the city, with the twister lifting near the Lubbock Municipal Airport. There were 26 fatalities, with numerous injuries, ranging from 500 up to 2,000 casualties, with 1,500 treated for injuries and 95 being hospitalized. Many of the injuries were caused by broken glass in the downtown area. Downtown Lubbock was heavily impacted by the tornado, with skyscrapers and buildings bearing the brunt of the violent winds. 80% of the plate glass windows were shattered in the downtown district. The tornado's outer circulation struck the Great Plains Life building, distorting the frame counterclockwise and disabling 3 of the building's 4 elevators. The twisting of the building caused severe cracks in the stairwell. Bricks were also stripped from the building and windows were blown out. There were around 30 people in the building when the tornado hit. They took shelter in the lobby. As the tornado passed near the 15-story First National Bank and Pioneer Natural Gas building, they were largely leveled. One Greyhound bus was hurled onto a downtown building by the tornado. The steel frames of 2 buildings at the Newsom Living Center were contorted by the tornado. One of the buildings was destroyed and the other was severely damaged. After the tornado reached the intersection of University Avenue and 4th Street, it looped eastward and intensified, becoming increasingly destructive. Student housing in the Overton area of Lubbock was particularly hard hit by the severe damage, requiring the demolition of the building. The University Arms Apartments on 5th Street and University Avenue received moderate damage. The Arnett Benson subdivision received significant damage. Roofs were damaged and tree limbs were torn near the Clovis Highway. After clearing the downtown area, the tornado tracked northeast along U.S. Highway 87. Significant residential damage was located just north of 4th Street. The tornado inflicted considerable damage to the homes near the Lincoln Country Club. The tornado then tracked across the Lubbock Municipal Airport, damaging hangars and buildings. Airplanes were strewn across the tarmac by the powerful winds. Roughly 100 planes were destroyed by the tornado, both inside and outside the hangars. Another small military aircraft being irreparably damaged. Now let's listen to some interviews with survivors of the tornado. Here's an interview with Ronald Hill. I was stationed in Lubbock with the DPS in September of 1968. We lived a mile east and north of A-Cup. I worked an early shift that morning and was home in the middle of the afternoon when I heard the sounds of hail hitting the ground. I looked out to see hailstones the size of softballs. I had picked up a new state car in Austin a week earlier, and since I didn't want to drive a hail-damaged car for 2 or 3 years, I drove it to the co-op gym at A-Cup and parked it under the suction shed. Then I noticed how dark the clouds were gathering to the southwest. About 8 p.m., I went home and put on a uniform because it looked things were about to get rough. I was on Farm Road 789, about a mile north of where we lived, and I watched the lights of eastern and northeastern Lubbock just disappear. Another patrolman, Joey Sherman, was on Farm Road 400 to my west when Lubbock DPS went off the air in mid-broadcast. Joey asked, "What happened to Lubbock?" And all I could answer was, "They must have lost power." Lubbock came back on with orders from Major Charlie Bell for all units to report to Lubbock, saying it had been hit by the tornado. My first assignment was to turn all traffic south and west of the intersection at University and 19th. A Civil Air Patrol pulled up and asked if I needed help. I said yes. Then a carload of teenage boys also asked if we needed help, and we asked them if they could direct traffic. They said yes if we could teach them. They saved our necks that night. After seeing all the destruction that night and the following days, it made me realize that everything we work hard for can be wiped out in a matter of seconds. Another survivor story was that of Linda Schaefer. I was a senior at Texas Tech University. I landed at the Lubbock Airport about 5 p.m. the afternoon of May 11th. As we were flying in, I could see the huge thundercloud with a strange yellow hue towering above the plane. As I stepped on the stairs, I was blown into the rail. The wind was blowing so hard. I found myself stranded at the airport because I could not get my ride on the phone. I ended up calling a friend who picked me up after she got off work. As we were on the highway going toward the Tech campus, it started hailing. We pulled off the road and found shelter under the country club awning. After about 30 minutes, we continued on Mesa Drive to the intersection of Highway 289 and 87 to Avenue Q, then west on 4th Street at about 4th and Avenue T. It started raining so hard it was hard to see. We followed the taillights of a car and turned off 4th onto Avenue U. We parked on the east side of a dumpster in the parking lot of an Ozarka bottled water business and warehouse. The rain stopped, but the wind was blowing so hard I could not open the passenger side door. We sat in the car for about 10 minutes when I had the urgency to get out of the car. I talked my friend into getting out of the car and we started running. We ran down an alley. A garage door to a warehouse was open. We ran in and were greeted by two men. They led us to an office where one of the men's wife and two preschool children were. The wind had pretty much died down, so my friend decided to walk over to a huge plate glass window to check on her car. When she was about 8 feet from the window, all hell broke loose. There was an exploding sound combined with breaking glass. I immediately dropped to the floor with my knees and legs tucked under me and my arms and hands protecting my head. A ceiling tile fell on me not long after that explosion. I got up and ran with everyone else to take shelter in the hall. With two large ceiling tiles over us, it sounded like a freight train outside. When it was clear the tornado was over, we emerged from the shelter. The car windows were blown out. The dumpster we parked by was in the middle of the intersection of 4th and Avenue U. The gas station the warehouse was behind wasn't there. The outside walls of the office that created the hall we were in were destroyed, and the roof was gone. Electric lines were down, and many houses were severely damaged. My friend and I felt lucky to be alive. The Lubbock tornado advanced weather science, including the development of the Fujita scale by Dr. Ted Fujita. It is used to rate tornadoes on their power and destruction. The storm also encouraged a deeper focus on Doppler radar technology, which detects wind patterns inside storms. By detecting wind patterns inside storms, forecasters issue tornado warnings, giving residents time to prepare for tornadic storms. After Lubbock, meteorologists started doing more detailed damage surveys. This helped with a better understanding of tornado structure and intensity. This concludes our episode on the Lubbock tornado. If you like weather-related content, please like, comment, and subscribe.